Yo, and we have an update. A real big update here. So it seems that the BBC might have apologized. So breaking news. BBC issues groveling apology to Donald Trump over misleading Panorama documentary after President threatens to sue for 1 billion but refuses to pay compensation. So let's see. I'm thinking this through though. The BBC issues an apology to Donald Trump today after the previous president suggests he was obligations to sue the podcast over editing of his speech. I think we're in a situation where, how can I put it? They thought they can get away with anything because Donald Trump's reputation was so bad. It was so in the dumps that they thought they could just do anything and people would eat it up. I don't know if this was to affect the US election because when I done a bit of research, they said it wasn't broadcast in the United States. But there is such thing as BBC Worldwide News, so I don't know how it would work. Cause we got that in BBC One, so it was on Panorama and BBC One. But I'm thinking some of the shows do go worldwide, especially the news. I've been in other countries and I've seen BBC News, so maybe it was broadcast, maybe it wasn't. Mr. Trump had demanded a full retraction immediately, immediate apology and offer of compensation from the BBC after Panorama documentary made it appear as though he encouraged violence before January 6th Capitol riots. The broadcaster had been given until tomorrow to respond to President's 1 billion legal threat after criticism that viewers had been misled by the program. In a statement on Friday, the BBC said the edit was in an error of judgment and the program will not be broadcast again in its form on any BBC platform. An error of judgment. That's a really strange word because you need to think about when you're putting something out there into the world and you're a national broadcaster as big as the BBC, how many eyes and hands must that footage have gone through? And nobody thought it was wrong? Really? So imagine a movie coming out and the amount of people would look over the movie and be like, yeah, take that out. And that's how you would think they would do something as important as a panorama documentary where they'd be like looking through every single aspect of it, make sure it was fact checked. But this is bad journalism. You put yourself there as the BBC and you have some sort of integrity to be a good journalist. And you putting this out where you like misleading the public? I'm starting to think the BBC think they can get away with anything because they're funded in such a way that they're not really upholded to advertisers. Because if this was done any other place, I'm going to explain this. The BBC is funded by people who have TVs. I know it's crazy, right? You have a TV, you pay the TV license. That is very stupid because you're not watching their programs, but they try and force you to pay the TV license. So that's how they're funded. They charge people maybe £150, £160 a year. But I feel that because they're funded this way, they feel they can get away with quite a bit. Because there's no adverts. If they were funded by adverts, you'll see how fast these people pull up their trousers and start doing things properly. Proper journalism. This I really feel they think they can get away with it because there's always money there to pay the top ranks, to pay the top people, to fund anything they want to do. And they're living in a world where they feel that it's going to be there forever. But I'm gonna put them into reality. Give them 10 years. Because I know 2027 is going to be the year that they're going to reevaluate the license fee. And they're going to try some way, somehow, to force people again to try and force people to pay for it. Because they're trying to tell people like, yo, you have Netflix? You need to pay for the license fee. I'm like, Netflix? That's not even live TV. But they're trying to wiggle it into every single aspect of the online ecosystem. So you have to pay for it. And we need to just vote with our feet and say, no, you cannot do this. They're trying to make it symbiotic. They're trying to make it survive in any which way. And it doesn't deserve to survive. It deserves to die. Or at least have some adverts. It needs to die. It can't survive in its current format. And you've seen heads roll. These guys, they're taking they've fallen on their sword, but they had to. They had to fall on their sword. But you start to think about the way the BBC is these days and the way they run. Because you start to see all the dirt from underneath them, like the Panorama interview with Princess Diana, how they got that. That was their pride and joy, that interview. I remember that. That was the thing that they put out there as like, yeah, we got that interview. And it was a big interview at the time. But now we figured out how it was manifested into the world. They now agreed to never show that interview again. So you have to wonder, what type of people are we dealing with? A bunch of frauds and liars. Anyway, I don't think Trump's going to get 1 billion. And also, it's like, whatever money he gets it from me. I watch some BBC shows. I agree, I watch the EastEnders. I'm sorry. And the money that I pay the BBC might fund his compensation. Well, it is going to fund his compensation. If he gets any. I feel it's really sad that we paying and then for the BBC, and when they mess up, that money goes to it goes to Trump because they're messing up. That ain't right. That should be funded some other way, but it ain't gonna bankrupt them. But who knows how things work these days? Who knows? But it's all a one big mess. Anyway, I'm out. On to the next video.